Melissa Lorena here, the podcast host behind An Interview with Melissa Lorena, where I interview big dreamers who decided to execute on their dreams all before they were ready. Some of my guests include Susie Batiste, Gary Vaynerchuk, James Altucher, and Beth Comstock, amongst others. So we're here to talk about this idea of how to avoid asking a stupid question. Have you ever hesitated in a room full of smarty pants to raise your hand and ask a question? In that scenario, here's what might have been going through your mind. You might have thought that people are gonna think that you are dumb. People are gonna think you don't belong. People are going to laugh at you, ignore you. Certainly, you will be judged. All these thoughts may have run through your mind. Now, here's the thing. Let's say you didn't raise your hand and ultimately ask that question. You may have felt invisible, unheard, you still don't know the answer, and ultimately you might be frustrated with yourself. You may have left the room kicking yourself in the rear because you didn't actually muster the courage to ask that question on your mind. Now, it's been said that there's no such thing as stupid questions. But if you're like me, maybe you have thought to yourself, well, that person certainly did not hear the particular question I was about to ask. But here's the thing. What if you could vet your questions, right? Wouldn't it be nice to have some sort of a filter, a framework? And oftentimes I have realized that there certainly is a framework. There's a method to asking a smart question. For example, let's just imagine that we have this intention that we want to feel smart. We want to feel significant. So if your question is coming from that place, then that's where you have to just stop and really take a moment to reevaluate your intention for asking that question, because you might be on the path towards asking a really dumb question. Now, let's just imagine that your intention was sincere. Like, no, I really want to understand why we are trending in a downward direction. Or, no, I really want to understand where you were last night while I was cooking dinner. Right? So if you sincerely want to know the answer, then chances are, more often than not, your question will not come across as stupid. It will be an honest question, which is truly refreshing. And man, could you imagine a world where you had the courage to ask more sincere questions, and sincere questions actually got some airtime? If you are interested in this topic, if you want to avoid asking dumb questions or feeling insecure about asking a question, this is for you if you are a podcaster, entrepreneur, sales professional, consultant, a coach, or an ambitious introvert who wants to start raising their hand more often in any room. Then I invite you to join me on February 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern for a live 1-hour workshop where you will learn how to ask wildly perceptive questions. If you've ever heard any of my podcast episodes, you can tell that I tend to ask questions that are way below the surface. We're talking about asking Gary V how his family business and all the insights and best practices he garnered there can help multinationals. We're talking about questions that are sincere, such as asking Cal Fussman, who you will listen to shortly if you are following me, An Interview with Melissa Lorena, about how he worked through the death of his dad. We're talking about real questions that are really helpful pertaining to your work and pertaining to your life. So join me. Just go to melissalorena.com/questions. It is a free 1-hour workshop where we're going to delve into how you can be more confident, how you can more effectively deliver a better question, so that this way you could actually raise your hand and you will never have to kick yourself in the rear when you leave a room having not asked the question that could have been game-changing. It could have completely positioned you as next in line for that next promotion. So join me February 9th. It is a live session. It is online, and we're going through how to ask wildly perceptive questions. All right, signing off, Melissa Lorena, the podcast host of An Interview with Melissa Lorena. Episodes drop every single Tuesday, and I would love to have you as one of my listeners or as a student in my workshop. Again, 1 hour, free. The link will be below, melissalorena.com/questions with an S at the end. Join me for that wonderful workshop and you can ask me your questions.